this is huge boxing, and December the 13th, the Origin show, we have the headline, we have the main event. George Liddard, how are you, mate?
All good, thank you. To get used to hearing that, headlining main event. I like it.
It's all good, mate. I mean, you're back headlining, but also first title shot as well, mate. I mean, this is the pinnacle of your career so far.
100%. It's going to be, the biggest night of my career to date. Obviously, look, we've had big days as amateurs, but this is the pro game now. This is my livelihood. This is my life. This is my career. So, it's completely different. A lot more is counting on December 13th, and I'm excited. I embrace the pressure. I'm excited. There's no nerves there. It's just excitement. A lot of people get them mixed up, those emotions. But yeah, I can't wait.
Definitely, mate, as well. We were just talking off camera. It's hard to believe that I have one more fight than you in your entire career at York Hall. I mean, not only is York Hall steeped in history, but you picking up your first title that night, you're going to add your own bit of history to that location and your career as well.
100%, never got to box there. Even my little cousin's boxed there before me. He boxed there a few weeks ago, got the win there. So I'm looking to go there, put on an absolute statement so I can say, went there, stopped the geezer. So, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I'm excited. It's an iconic venue. It's been the home of boxing for many, many years now. There's been great nights of fights there, and I'm looking to add another one on December 13th.
Definitely, mate, as well. Obviously, a stat card, you've got your stable mates on the card, Jimmy's on the card, Mace on the card. We've spoken about this before, right? But it's nice to kind of have... You're all completing camp together. I was on the triangle with you. Are they trying to keep up with you, George? You're overlapping me. But, I mean, it's nice to be doing camp together, but not only that, completing camp together as well.
100%, I think week in, week out, we've all got the same sessions. We're all, obviously they're tailored slightly to, the rounds we're doing or what we're doing. But, yeah, like we're going through the same kind of pain as such, if you know what I mean. Week in, week out, that graft, those were early mornings. It's nice to have those around you because I've been there and done them on my own, and I can tell you now, it's not nice, and when you've got other people around you, I don't know if you share the pain in a way, you share the pain, we're all going through the same thing, and yeah, it's nice, very nice, and I'll be looking forward to, watching them get the wins as well on December 13th.
Definitely, I want to talk about what some exciting news. Obviously, all eyes on December 13th, but the board have approved your fight with Jordan Reynolds, final eliminator for the English title. Obviously, Linus Adofia holds that belt now. I mean, it's a fight that's got a lot of people talking, George. I mean, even from Jordan Reynolds' side of things, I've seen they were sharing some of the posts that were being made about it. But that's a great fight for you next after December 13th.
100%. These are the fights I'm excited for. These are the nights that really, that make me love boxing. On paper, 50-50 fight, Would I look at it as that? No. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's saying the same thing. But these are the fights I'm excited for. My last fight was a bit like that, the George Davey, he went in there. I genuinely think he believed he was going to beat me that night. I think he did think everything he could in camp to beat me. And look what happened, So I'm sure Jordan's going to be doing the same. He's going to have hundreds of fans that want him to splatter me. I've got hundreds of fans that want me to splatter him. So they're the nights that are exciting. And I can't wait for a big night that night. Listen, I'm not looking past this fight. Whoever the opponent is in 2 weeks' time, I'm there to destroy. So... But yeah, I'm excited for that fight.
Definitely. We've spoken about this, right, previously, but you definitely, one, but two, prefer having a fighter that's going to come to win. You've fought those journeymen now who kind of tuck up, kind of take a bit of punishment, then back off, but you prefer those fighters who are going to come to win and, like you said, try and splatter you in there. That's when 100%. The best George Liddard comes out.
100%. Look, you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds. And I genuinely believe under pressure, that's when you see the best George Liddard. And like I say, my whole life has been gearing up to this point now to come into these fights. I've been watching this for years. I've been watching this game, watching all the 50-50 fights at the top. The fights in Las Vegas, the fights at O2, the fights at Wembley, and dreaming of the days that I'm there and I'm, taking on someone that on paper has a chance of beating me. But I know the truth, and I know the way I train, no man's beating me. No man's beating me on the night. So very excited. Like I say, it couldn't come quick enough. We've got this fight December 13th. We're going to go out there, put on a statement, and then in January you're going to see another big performance. 10-0 going into 11-0.
Definitely, mate. Looking forward to it. We can't get too ahead of ourselves, but that is a massive fight as well. Obviously, the middleweight landscape in general, I mean, internationally at the world title level, Janibek, Carlos Adames, Eris Landi Lara, but the domestic scene, Brad Pauls, Blina Sedofia, Hamza Shiraz, Denzel Bentley. I mean, how far do you think you are away from the likes, obviously, Brad Pauls and Denzel Bentley fighting for British and European titles? I think WBO number 1 and 2. I mean, you can't see yourself too far away from those domestic titles, the British title mainly.
No, 100%. 2 fights and we're there. You know, win December 13th, beat Jordan Reynolds in January, and I think, you know, I'm ready. I'm ready. You know, whether that's I first have to pick up the English title, then we look for British. But I said, by this time next year, I want to be sitting here as a British and Commonwealth champion, and I guarantee you that will happen. It is happening. It's written. You know, it's God's plan. So I can see that happening now. So whatever steps I have to take, whatever belt I have to pick up first, that doesn't matter. The end goal remains the same: British and Commonwealth champion this time in a year. And yeah, that's all I can say.
Definitely. How do you assess kind of, I mean, the middleweight division in general? I mean, like the level it's at compared to previous years. I mean, how do you look, if you look at the divisions, you see it as wide open for yourself for the taking?
Look, I think middleweight's always going to be a very, you know, contested division, because it's around the kind of average weight of a man in the UK. It's middleweight, right? You know, it's kind of the average kind of weight of a man in the UK. So there's always a lot of competition. I think there's been massive domestic fights in the past. You know, you look at the Nigel Benns, the Chris Eubanks, you know, all around that weight. So I think there's always been a big kind of name for the middleweight division. So I think there needs to be some big fights, you know, and I'm looking forward to bringing those nights hopefully back to England, and I'm really excited to get there. Like you say, I think Brad Pauls, you know, British champion. I believe now I'm ready for that level. Obviously, I've just got to prove it. I've just got to win the next couple of fights, get the experience, get the 10 rounds in, and then we push on for the 12s. I think Kieran Conway's fighting, is it Ryan Kelly?
The Commonwealth.
For the Commonwealth. Obviously, if we can get the fight for the Commonwealth Silver, that makes me then, I'm pretty sure that makes me pretty much mandatory for that Commonwealth. So then that fight opens up too. So what I'm doing now is, as we've seen from obviously the southern area, sometimes it's hard to pin down these title fights. So what I'm trying to do is just get myself into these mandatory positions, and then people are going to have no choice but to fight me. And then, you know, that's when I can go and win these belts.
Definitely. We were talking about this off camera, kind of that issue, but the situation with the southern area, kind of. It's very much a compliment to you when these guys, and compliment to your level, when they would rather vacate their championship than fight you. It's a frustrating thing, but it's also a compliment to your ability, if that makes sense.
100%, and it's like, as much as it's frustrating, I understand it. I understand it from their point of view. Why take a fight with someone that's very, very high risk? Realistically, they know they're going in there and, you know, they're getting beat. They know that. I know that they know that. They know that they know that. So why would they take that fight and earn, you know, smaller money than potentially another fight that they could get for, you know, on paper, a step up, where, you know, it's potentially slightly lower risk? I understand it from a business point of view, but obviously for me it's just frustrating. But like I say, if I can keep getting myself into these mandatory positions, and now we're stepping up the levels, people are going to be interested in fighting. You know, I know Jordan Reynolds is game for this fight as much as I am. So that's the good thing now. We're getting into those parts and the levels of this game where people will fight you, and that's when you're going to see the best George Liddard, and that's what I'm excited for.
Definitely. You're talking about raising those levels. We've spoken, like, that additional 1% that you've been putting into your game, kind of the mindset with Greg, kind of the double sessions, overtaking me on the triangle where as and when you need to. I mean, but the dietary side of things, I mean, I'm going to combine it with another question that I've got. Your support structure at home with your mum, your dad, your sister, your girlfriend, they all are very patient with you and allowing you to be the best George Liddard, taking into any of those extra 1% that you need as well.
100%. I wouldn't be the man I am today without my family. And my girlfriend, she puts up with a lot, let's put it that way. You know, listen, I'm a happy person most of the time, but don't get me wrong, camp gets hard. Like, life can get tough. And I'm sure there's plenty of times I'm not a happy person. I'm not the nicest person, the best person to be around when I'm hungry, or, you know, I've had a really hard day of training and I just want to relax and sleep. And, you know, then my girlfriend's getting home from work, she wants to spend time with me. I'm sure I'm sometimes very hard work, and I can't thank them enough for the patience that they show. And listen, I'm doing this not just for me, but for my family, for my partner as well. I'm not just doing this for me. Let's not get that twisted. Like, this is what I've always wanted, but there's more to it than just that. There has to be more than that. You know, I want to give my family the best life I can. You know, I want to let them live the luxury life. I want to let them see things that they've never got to see. And I want to be the person to do that. So all of that's on my shoulders. And don't get me wrong, like there's nights where, you know, you're sitting there and you're just thinking about all this stuff, you know, I want to be the man to do that. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm only 22. I forget that sometimes. But that's what really has helped me become the man I am now. And, you know, that's what gets me through the tough times, gets me through the tough days, the tough nights. That support system, you know, I know they got my back, always. And they're always going to be the biggest supporters of me. They're always ringside. You can hear them from bloody the other side of the country. Do you know what I mean? They're very, very loud. So I can't thank them enough for that. And, you know, they'll be very well rewarded when the time comes.
they definitely will, mate. And I think the loudest I've ever seen them was after your knockout against McCormack as well. And I mean, we were in Leeds, weren't we, as well?
Yeah,
I mean, it was a long way away.
Yeah, no, make some noise. And look, I want to thank all the Liddard Army. You know, everyone that comes out, pays their hard-earned money to come watch me, because I appreciate it so much. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be some tough nights ahead. And I'm sure, you know, when I hear that crowd behind me and I hear the roar, and it's going to help me get through them tough nights.
It definitely will, mate. Let's go back now. I want to go back to the start. I mean, I was rewatching I think the first ever interview that we done, and kind of we were talking about kind of the first day that you entered the Matchroom gym. You got the call up to spar John ahead of his fight. I think with Danny. It might have been with Danny Jacobs.
It was Danny.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever look back on that kind of the first day of walking into the Matchroom gym, going, "Oh, that's Tony Sims, that's John Ryder"? Do you ever look back on that?
Do you know what? I remember it very clearly. I think it might have been Boxing Day. I think I first ever got the message from Tony about coming down and doing sparring. And at the time I had COVID, so I had to say no. I was like, Emil, I can't spar. And at this time, I hadn't really been doing a lot, because obviously it had been lockdown and I weren't in the best shape, let's put it that way. So I was a little bit nervous.
As well.
Yeah, and I'd sparred a couple pros, but never like, you know, pros at the level that they're at. So I said no the first time, and then obviously Tony offered it again, and I went, if I say no again, I am never ever getting offered to go down there. So I was like, suck it up, be a man. I was on holiday that week, so I said, look, I'm off holiday this day. I'll come down as soon as I'm off holiday. I'll come down for sparring. So I come off holiday, I think on like the Monday. The Wednesday I was sparring with John, and it was like, all right, this is real now. I remember walking in the gym like, I'm not even going to pretend like I weren't nervous. I was thinking, bloody hell, this is John Ryder. Do you know what I mean? He's fighting Danny Jacobs. Like, this is crazy. And yeah, I think I only did 4 rounds, which, you know, a lot of the amateur lads now that we get down, they'll do 4 rounds, get out. That was me back then. So to look back at where I was then, you know, doing the 4 rounds and getting out and feeling like absolutely knackered, because of the kind of pressure you put on yourself and the stress of sparring these, like, you're thinking like, if he hits me, it's going to hurt. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a kid, like I was like 18, 19, you know, on paper a man, but I was still a kid mentally then. So to look where I am now, I'm the man now doing 10, 12 rounds and getting these young lads in with me. So to look back, it's like, it is a proud moment. I never really look back. I more look forward, you know, because I think when you look back, I don't want to get content with where I'm at. I don't want to be content with where I'm at. You know, I'm proud of where I've got to, but for me, it's always about the present and looking forward. But looking forward in a good way. Never, you know, try not to be anxious about it. But yeah, when I look back, it's crazy. It is crazy. So it's nice actually to sit here now and just remember those feelings of going there and, you know, telling my dad, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to spar John Ryder." And then on the Friday, I must have done all right, because I got invited back on the Friday. I did 4 with John. I remember this as well. I was going to the gym. I was panicking because I weren't fit. And they were like, "Oh, you're going to do 4 with John, have 4 out, and then get back in and do 4 with Felix." And I'm thinking, 8 rounds? I've never done 8 rounds in my life. Like, do you know what I mean? I was an amateur. Like, I'd never done 8 rounds. But yeah, I remember just getting it done and, you know, being pleased with myself. And then I spoke to Tony. I was like, "Tony, I'll be honest. Like, this year, I'd like to look at turning pro." And he must have seen a bit on me, you know, to invite me down, and then to, you know, invite me into the gym as such. See how you get on. He said so. And I've been there since. So I must be doing something all right at the minute.
No, you definitely are, mate. And now it's gone full circle, because the person who you originally came to the gym to spar, I mean, John Ryder, if there's those that don't know, is now a part of the training team as well. I mean, that's a very unique situation to be in, but I mean, how has that period been like, going from stablemate? I suppose you're still stablemates, but stablemate to coach. I mean, it must be a nice thing to still have John around kind of supporting you as well.
I think it's great, you know, that man's been to the very highs of boxing, you know. He's been through loads of boxing too, you know. He's had some bad nights in the office, but he's also seen the highs of boxing. And to have someone with that experience, you know, not just around me, but coaching me and, you know, almost mentoring me at times as well, you know, talking me through things and seeing things sometimes from a different angle. You know, I've got two sets of eyes now watching me. It's cool. It's very cool, and he does the strength work with me now. So, you know, he's done that stuff for years himself. So he's got a lot of experience in it, and yeah, like I'm very pleased to have John as a part of the team. Like I say, the experience is. It just helps having him around, you know. There's some days where I might have a question for him, something that I haven't, you know, been through yet, and he has. So it's good just to get that feedback from him. Good to, you know, to bounce off of him at times.
Definitely. Has there only been like a particular bit of advice that John's given you at all?
Oh, you stick me in it, really. You stick me in it now, aren't you?
Don't give anything away too much.
I remember in the changing rooms before the last fight, it was like, so it was a step up on paper as such against George David. And I remember him just looking at me, and I was pretty calm anyway, but he's just like, switched me back to my nasal breathing again, you know, something that I do with my mindset coach. And just, he has that experience. He's done it himself. He worked with Greg, you know, throughout the end of his camp, and just that little, you know, comment that he made, it got me back in the, okay, we're good. Like, stay calm, you know, and get the job done. And just little things like that he picks up on. Even when I'm sparring, you know, sometimes maybe he sees me breathing out my mouth, he'd be like do the double inhales now. Feels like sometimes Greg's in my corner as well. So, but yeah, it's really good. It's really good to have him around.
Definitely, mate, as well. I think we've smashed through my questions, George. I mean, you know, the origins of George becoming a middleweight contender. Thank you very much, George.
Man,
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.